All right, rock and roll. Welcome one, welcome all to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. I am your host, John. And if you could, kindly hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And boy, we got some good stuff this week. I'll tell you that. The weekend. Typically on a weekend in the political spectrum, it's kind of dead. It's kind of, we're all going to do our weekend. We're not going to do it. But one thing about the Trump administration, man, they got nitro on the weekend. They got napalm. There is never a dull moment with this crazy clown show that is the Trump administration. Oh, my Lord. And if you could, please, I forgot, hit that comment section. If there's anything you want us to talk about on a podcast, feel free to drop it. We are receptive. We will do our best to accommodate you. And let's get to it. Let's burn it all to the effing ground. And the Epstein files. We obviously, to any logical human being, there is something incendiary in there. Now, there is a valid, semi-valid Republican argument of, well, why didn't Joe Biden release them? I think there's two things there, like we've talked about previously. First of all, I think Joe Biden was just a decently good man, and he did not want to weaponize the DOJ. I think if we were going to go back in the time capsule at the beginning of 2024, he would have dropped everything. But he still is a decent man. I hope you're recovering well, Joe. We all love you. And also, they were unable to release him for quite a long time because Ghislaine Maxwell, the co-conspirator in the sex trafficking, had a federal lawsuit. And because of that federal lawsuit, they were not able to release any documents by the DOJ, by the FBI, until that had been resolved. She, earlier this year, dropped them, supposedly. Wow, what a shock. Then she gets... Don Blanche comes over to say hi, and I didn't see nothing. Donald Trump, he was the actual guy actually helping these girls. He wasn't recruiting them or using them or sexually abusing them. Oh, no. Oh, and by the way, a couple weeks later, let's go over to Club Fed in Texas in violation of every federal law about the transfer of convicted sexual abusers. But have you ever been in a situation where somebody is against the corner? They've done something really egregious. I don't know. They've cheated. They've done something nefarious at work. They've done something reprehensible. And they come out and say, well, there's other stuff that's worse. Oh, they don't really talk about themselves. And here is the social post that Donald Trump put out Saturday of this past weekend. Try not to laugh. Try not to roll your eyes. If you are driving a car as you're listening to this podcast, you might want to pull over. He says, all that stuff with Epstein was just a long time ago. Felonies are still felonies, whether they happened 2 weeks ago or 20 years ago. Everyone just needs to move on. Okay. There are real problems facing our nation. Okay. This is the guy in the 2024 election was just kept talking about lock her up, Hillary Clinton, from 8 years previous. The guy who's still to this day, if he gets a chance at a rally or, a bacchanal or whatever stupid little thing he's doing, he will utter lock her up. Problems caused by Joe Biden. There's a commie running New York City. Interesting. Of course, we had the ISIS leader in the White House last week. Nobody wants to hear about the Epstein. I think you might want to double check the polls on that one, buddy. Epstein, nobody cares. It's all a Democratic hoax. Besides, 14 is old enough to make your own decisions. Thanks for your attention to this matter. Literally, the President of the United States put that out. Now, there are 4. We have to have the actual release of the Epstein files. The president could do it on his own. The attorney general could do it on her own. But if they are not going to go down that path, which of course they're not, Congress can pass a disclosure act. They have to get a majority of the people in the House, and then the Senate has to get a majority, and then it goes to the president's desk. Now, let's save the spoiler alert. He's never in a million years going to sign that thing. Then it will go back to the House, and if it gets a 2/3 majority, then it gets released. Okay? So, we have 4 Republicans in the House who have signed the disclosure document to get to the 218. We have Boebert, we have Nancy Mace, we have Thomas Massie, and we have our favorite lunatic, MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who literally in the last month and a half has actually sounded semi-sane. Okay? Now, they got into a huge fight this weekend. Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they have been like 2 asteroids moving towards each other. We're going to get to that in a second. I want to talk about a proverb, a story. It's called The Scorpion and the Frog. And basically what that is there's a story. And there's a frog at the edge of a river. And the scorpion comes up to him and says, "Hey, can you take me across the river so I can get to that other side?" And the frog says, "Well, yeah, but, if you sting me, I'll die." And the scorpion looks at him and says, "Look, if we're going across the water and I sting you, then I'm going to drown too. There's no purpose." The frog thinks about it, makes perfect sense. So the frog heads across, scorpion's on its back. Halfway across, the scorpion stings it. And as they're both floating underneath the water to their demise to be drowned, the frog says to the scorpion, "Why did you do it? You're going to die." And the scorpion looks at him and says, "It's my nature." And now we have the MAGA exposed. We have a situation where Donald Trump has been running MAGA. Everybody gets on the train and see no evil, do no evil, hear no evil. That is the MAGA way. Marjorie Taylor Greene was all aboard of that train. But now she wants the release of the Epstein files. Donald Trump does not want it. So Donald Trump this weekend, on Saturday, put out a social media post that said, "Lightweight Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene," and then in parentheses says, "Green grass turns brown when it begins to rot, betrayed the entire Republican Party when she turned left." In Donald Trump's world, turning left is when you want to release the Epstein files. Okay? So we have that situation. Now, Marjorie fired back on social media, and oh man, I am so glad we live in an age where people can literally respond within minutes of somebody firing at their head. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Al Gore, for inventing this internet. It's so beautiful. And she fired back about how her life has been threatened. How she has had death threats since President Trump came out against her in the past week for wanting to release the Epstein files. And she said she's looking into hiring private security. Donald Trump, I guess, which I don't understand how he can do it, because I thought it was under the purview of the House. But since we have feckless Mike Johnson leading the House, maybe he's just taking his orders from his dark master and pulling her security detail as a member of Congress. Now, she was very adamant in her social media post this weekend about the threats to her and her family. Now, on Sunday, she went on Dana Bash on CNN, and Dana Bash asked an amazingly great question. And she said, Donald Trump has been uttering this violent rhetoric for literally the last 10 years, and you stood by on the sidelines and didn't say a word. We have had Donald Trump literally call out Proud Boys, stand up and stand back. He's called people at Charlottesville good people. He has called for violence against judges who are adjudicating cases that he was involved in. The best one, the most prominent one, was the judge who held the line when Donald Trump was convicted of the numerous felony financial counts. And we still have those pictures of Donald Trump being angry as heck that he had to be in court each and every day. Criminal Trump, convict Trump, felony Trump, that guy. Of course, the felonies didn't matter because he became president. We get a get out of jail free card. But like Dana Bash asked that prominent question, and Marjorie Taylor Greene's answer was, that criticism is legitimate. And I am not one of these people to really buy into the MTG thing. Yeah, it's nice to see her come around, but I don't believe her. She is a political opportunist on every level. Do not trust her. Do not trust her. Yes, she may see the polls. She may see what's coming in 2026. I think November 4th, 2 weeks ago, was a clear indicator of the blue wave is coming. Maybe she wanted to keep her political power, her prestige, her honor, whatever. I don't know, but I don't trust her. But it is amazing to see her for 10 years, literally like a Buddhist monk, not saying a word, as Donald Trump has viciously, continually threatened violence against his political opponents. And of course, the culmination was January 6th, where Marjorie once again got down on the knee and kissed the ring and didn't say a word. Very few Republicans. To me, that was the moment. The Mitt Romneys, those kind of people who voted for impeachment, the Adam Kinzingers, Liz Cheney, the people who stood up for democracy were far and few between in the Republican Party, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was not there. Now, you've dealt with the scorpion, and the scorpion just bit you. What happens down the road, I don't know. Let's talk about somebody else who got bit, and that would be Thomas Massie, House member of Kentucky, the great state of Kentucky, and he is an incredibly conservative person. I don't think there's two things in this world I agree with him on. But he does seem, and I'm not buying into it, but I'm just saying, my perception of him is he does seem to be a man of honor. I don't agree with the politics. I don't agree with a lot of his hyperbole, but he does seem to have principles. He does govern. He does try to be the honorable man. Well, Thomas Massie is also one of the people who wants to release the Epstein files. So what does Donald Trump do? He comes out with another amazing post this weekend about Thomas Massie. He says, did Thomas Massie, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., I guess it's his little thing because Rand Paul doesn't back him too much on his Venezuela boat strikes, the tariffs, and blowing up the federal deficit. Because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, then he says, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than an 8% chance of winning his election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas, ? His wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser. Literally, Donald Trump is talking about a Republican who was married for 31 years. His wife sadly passed away a year and a half ago. He remarried, and he is saying he went too quick. Yeah. Let us talk a little about Donald Trump's little journey through marriage. He was married to his first wife, Ivana. She gave him 3 children, the most prominent of the Trump children, Ivanka, Eric, and Donald Jr. And man, talk about a scarlet letter being named Donald Jr. He cheated on her with model Marla Maples, dumped her, got married to Marla, had a child, and then dumped her for Melania. Of course, he had a child with her. when she was having her child, Barron, most credible reports are he was also having an affair with adult actress Stormy Daniels. She has confirmed this. She has said that he actually left the hospital after the birth of his child to have a rendezvous. This guy is talking about Thomas Massey, that he is some type of less than a family man because he got remarried less than a year after his wife passed. Wow. What a crime. What a crime. All right, let's move on to some more things in the news. I will tell you this. Seeing MTG and Donald Trump go at each other, oh, that is, let's get the popcorn out, because I don't trust either one of them. And Marjorie Taylor can go on The View and everybody kisses her butt. Oh, you're so great, blah, blah, blah. You're not taking a check during the shutdown. It's direct deposit. She has a campaign fund she can go off of. Let's not make her into St. Marjorie. Okay? Let's not forget the deviousness and the acolyte that she is in accommodating and enabling the Trump administration. All right. We had another interesting thing that happened on Friday that may have went underneath your purview as you get ready for your busy weekend. And that would be the DOJ, the Trump DOJ. Let's set it back. Okay? In July, the Trump administration, with their evil cohorts, the fascists that we all know as ICE, started descending upon Chicago. I didn't know it was that early. I was stunned. For some reason, I thought it started in October. I don't know if this is some advanced type of scouting or whatever. But because of federal lawsuits by groups like the ACLU, immigrant groups, the Trump administration had to finally release some actual numbers instead of them telling us every day, we are going to get the criminals off the street of Chicago. Now, the Chicago mayor, the governor, Pritzker, have been fighting this tooth and nail. Kudos to you, sirs. But one of the interesting things that was released on Friday was the names of the first 614 people who were caught up in this illegal, I call it illegal, ICE immigration raids throughout the city of Chicago. Now, the purview was we were going to get criminals off the streets. As the Chicago Tribune, a truly great paper, researched the 614 names, only 16 had any type of criminal background, criminal record. 4 of them were DUIs, 2 were for domestic disturbance. 6 out of the 16 are things that I am not going to pass on. I'm not going to say they're not crimes, but I don't think they're anything extraordinary. And that is only 2.6% of the actual number of 614. Wow. Really cracking down on crime there, Batman. Really cracking down on crime. Most estimates that the Chicago operation has spent approximately $40 million by the deployment of National Guard, by ICE, by Homeland Security, by other assorted agencies. 40 million and you got 16 people with a criminal background. Wow. Amazing. 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 But also, we have coming down the pipe here, there's another 1,200 names are supposed to be released, theoretically, this week, according to the federal judge who is overseeing the case. Now, we do know how the Trump administration works. A lot of times they're told to do something and they just put up the middle finger. Sorry, we're not going to do it. Now, out of this over 1,800 people who have been caught up in the ICE raids since July through the end of October, we have found through the Chicago Tribune that only 750 of them remain in the United States. Now, were they deported illegally like Abrego Garcia? Where were they deported to? Were they given due process? These are questions that have not been answered, and the Trump administration declined comment this week and when asked about it. 1,800 people, how many got due process? Are they in some despot African country? Are they back in San Salvador? We don't know. And there is no answers. And with such a clandestine process that HHS is doing, without any type of transparency, they talk about transparency, but literally their transparency is about the same as their soul. Dark, muddied, and you cannot see anything there. It's pathetic and it's weak, and it is absolutely the antithesis of what our Constitution and what our Bill of Rights stands for. And that is what it is, because they cannot stand on the merits of what their cause is. And that's what tyrants do. And that is what this administration truly is. We all know that. Also, got another little fun snippet this weekend. Kristi Noem. I don't know if you've seen much about Kristi Noem. We did have a cute little short about her trying to use the bathroom at a Illinois public or government facility, and they said, no, sorry. Bathroom not open for you, Kristi. Go find the Starbucks. That girl was waddling like Donald Duck, trying to make it back to her car. And she has been shooting, and it is an amazing, I've seen her on football games. I've seen it on different podcasts. Her shooting videos about immigrants, go home, self-deport, use the app, check yourself in, and if you go back, we will let you come back later on. Of course, she's assuming that they're going to be around when that comes. Because trust me, when the Democrats, Gavin Newsom, me, whoever becomes president in 2028, they're going to change that nonsense. They're not going to have it such an inhumane policy. But Kristi Noem is shooting videos. Last week, she was shooting one at Mount Rushmore. There's been multiple ones. She was on a horse with chaps, little cowgirl hat, talking about this, that. How we're going to get immigrants, turn yourself in, deport yourself, blah, blah, blah. Where are we at this supposed 3 million? When Donald Trump came in, he said he was going to deport 3 million immigrants this year. I have not seen one number from Carolyn Leavitt or anybody at HHS or anywhere about where that number is. Especially, and I can tell you the number must be utterly pathetic, because Stephen Miller, who is literally the Third Reich inside this administration, hasn't said one thing. I don't even know if we're over 1 million. I haven't seen anything. Could have missed it, but I doubt it. It would make big news. Well, Kristi Noem is the head of HHS, as we all know, and she is trying to deport all these illegal aliens, the criminals, even the cats and dogs. And because this has been deemed a national emergency, and the Trump administration did this for a couple reasons, mostly because they didn't have to get any oversight by the House or the Senate. But this might be a little more nefarious, and this just came out the other day from CNN, that Kristi Noem, because it's a national emergency, does not have to put up contracts underneath her purview for bid. Most government contracts are open to all bidders. They go through a process, and typically the lowest bidder gets the contract. Well, when it's a national emergency, like when George Bush went over to Iraq, it was a no-bid contract for Halliburton. Well, now we have a situation where Kristi, under a national emergency, can give a contract to whoever she wants. Well, there's a $200 million, insane, $200 million advertising budget for her little self-deportation videos. And who did she arbitrarily give it to without any bidding? It would be this group called Strategy. Who the hell is Strategy? You might be surprised to find out they were her central advertising agency for her 2022 governor campaign in South Dakota. They are also an agency that her little bedroom buddy and top henchman at HHS, Corey Lewandowski, was worked for very frequently. Here's also another little cute thing. It seems like the company of strategy, their CEO, is married to Noem's chief spokesperson at HHS. You know, tell me this government contract isn't flowing somehow back into her pocket. I mean, hello? We look over, it's like that movie out now you see it, now you don't. And the more you look at one thing, you're not noticing the other. We're looking at Donald Trump's grift with Qatar, the jet, the golf resorts in Vietnam and Qatar. We're looking at the Indonesia. We're looking at, heck, I just saw a thing this week where Switzerland business people and politicians wanted to lower their tariff rate from 39%, and they brought over Donald Trump a full kilogram of pure gold, valued at over $100,000. Funny, I didn't see this on the news mix. It was later reported the tariff dropped to 15%. Who knew? As we're looking at Donald Trump and his grab of billions of dollars, we're not noticing everybody else in the tree because, hey, it's like the line in Casino. If the top guys are ripping you off, even the guys below them, they're going to get their piece of the pie too. Kristi Noem, going to get your little piece of the pie here. Kudos to you. Kudos to you. Strategy is part of her ecosystem. It is who and what she is. And I'm telling you right now, she is getting kickback. She is making money. But we don't see it because we're too busy about the other guys. Right? All right. If you could, that's it for today. If you could, please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And we'll see you soon on the Scorched Earth Political Podcast.